Portland Metro? Yes, thank you. Who do you think of when you think of confidence? I want you to shout it out, actually. You guys have been here 3 days. You've been together. You're comfortable. Who is it that you think of when you think of the word confidence? Who? Dwayne Johnson. Who else do we think of? Pink? I love Pink. Anybody? Christina. Yes. Anybody else? Another Christina. Yes. Amazing. What if I told you that you could have the confidence of Pink? If you could have the confidence of Dwayne Johnson? If you could have the confidence that our Christinas have? Well, it is true. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. New science in the area of neuroscience around brain plasticity actually shows that our neural pathways in our brain can be rewired. So what that means is that what you're born with is not actually what dictates your whole entire life. You can change how your brain thinks. You can change the amount of confidence you have. So whether or not you think you're born with confidence, it doesn't actually matter, because it turns out that confidence is a skill. Confidence is something that you can learn. So why is this important? Why do we actually care about this? Why am I talking about this? Well, it turns out that over 70% of people polled in the US feel like an imposter or identify with imposter syndrome, which is this feeling of not being good enough or feeling like a fraud or a lack of confidence. 70%. Does everyone know who Sheryl Sandberg is? She's a COO of Meta Platforms. You might know it as Facebook. Even Sheryl Sandberg has been quoted as saying, "Sometimes I wake up feeling like a fraud. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm doing enough." If Sheryl Sandberg is saying this, I'm like, what hope do the rest of us have? What hope do the rest of us have? Sheryl freaking Sandberg. Everyone thinks that confidence is something that you're born with, but the truth is, confidence is something that you can learn. In the book, The Confidence Code, the authors talk about how confidence makes you more apt to fail. It makes you more willing to try. It makes you want to put yourself out there more. And most importantly, it makes you have this just kind of like basis equilibrium of, oh, I'm okay, I'm doing enough. Now, confidence doesn't necessarily predicate success, but what the science shows is that the more confidence that you have, the more you can show up and just try and be okay with yourself. The more that you let go of all the limiting beliefs that you put in your own brain. Does that sound right? Does everyone here have like some limiting beliefs that they're like, oh, I'm not as confident as I want to be, right? Yeah. I know that you feel this way because I have felt this way a lot in my life. I felt this way a lot. So as Jen said, my name is Sensi Graves. I'm a professional kiteboarder, and I'm the founder of a sustainable swimwear line called Sensi Graves Swim. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I'm done. I usually have a rack of bikinis to show here. I decided not to bring it. I'm also a recovering not enougher, which means that I've spent the majority of my career feeling like I'm not successful enough. I'm not good enough. Lacking confidence and the capabilities to really put myself out there. Now, the professional kiteboarder and the being an entrepreneur, that's all the shiny stuff, right? And that means that as a professional kiteboarder, I've been traveling around the world, doing photo shoots and being on competitions and being in magazines. And as an entrepreneur, that means I'm running my own company. And it's stuff that, like I said, it looks really shiny on the outside. But the truth is that on the inside, I really had to work at being confident. On the outside, everyone's like, you're so badass, you're so amazing, you look so great on Instagram. And over here, I'm like, whoo, I'm not doing enough. Whoo, I still don't feel successful. Woof. At what point am I going to feel that way? And what I've learned in my 34 short years on this planet is that confidence is an inside job. Confidence is not something that is related to the Instagram or the professional kiteboarder or any of the other accolades. Confidence is not on the outside, it's on the inside. And so I've actually learned a lot, turns out, which is great. And it's now my mission to share that. Like, it's really, truly my mission to teach women and girls like you what I wish I'd known when I was your age. Because that would have saved me a whole lot of struggle, a whole lot of feeling like not enough, a whole lot of being like, should I keep going? Should I keep trying? And so I'm so thrilled to be here, and I wanted to shout out the team here for inviting me, because I really feel like this kind of stuff is how we get out of our comfort zone. And so I'm actually going to share 3 ways that you can develop your confidence now, because confidence is a skill. So I'm going to share 3 tools. Take it or leave it. You know, I think you come into this with an open mind. You're going to take something away from it. Hopefully something resonates, but just be open to, okay, even if you've heard some of this before, maybe it hasn't quite resonated. So yes, take notes. Think about things. This is just a new way of thinking. So I'm going to share with you, number 1, don't let the results define you. Number 2, claim where you're going. And number 3, celebrate your wins. Are we ready? Are we fired up? Portland Metro? Yes, gosh, that's the best. Okay. So confidence is a skill. What is tool number 1 that we can build our confidence? We can learn how to be more confident. Number 1 is don't let the results define you. Don't let the results define you. What do I mean by that? I mean that it's not about, once again, the number of Instagram followers you have. It's not about how successful you are. It's not about the car that you drive. It's not about how you look on the outside. It's the growth, the journey, the uncovering that is on the inside. I was 23 when I started my swimwear line. And honestly, looking back, I'm like, I don't even know how I did that. But at 23, I didn't have a design background. I didn't have a business background. I didn't have a manufacturing background. I knew absolutely nothing. And the first couple years of suits were honestly not that good because I didn't have any of this background. And well-meaning, well-intentioned people would actually tell me this. They'd be like, okay, Sensi, great, this is awesome, but you could do this better, and this is what you should change over here, and okay. And their feedback, even though it was constructive, I took really, really personally. When they said that the suits were bad, I took it to mean that I was bad. And that hurt. That was hard, because here I was putting my whole energy and everything out into this company that had my name on it, right? And the result I get, the outcome is, oh, I'm not good enough. And it honestly made me feel like, whew, should I even keep trying? If the result is I'm not good enough, why should I keep showing up? Has anyone felt this way before? Right? It's a hard feeling to deal with, because we're like, why do I keep going? Why? Well, here's the thing. When a baby is born out of the womb, we don't actually expect it to know how to start a bikini company, right? It doesn't even know how to walk or talk. Everybody learns that as they grow up, right? And when you see a baby and it's like trying to take its first couple steps and it's stumbling and it's falling down, you don't go, nope, you should just stay in your diapers. You're never going to walk. Don't even try again. You failed one time. No. You say, great job, you're so stinking cute, keep going, do it again. We have faith in our capabilities. We have faith in the baby's capabilities. We know that if it keeps trying, it's going to walk eventually. It's going to run eventually. That's how it's going to soar eventually, right? By that encouragement, by that belief. And so thinking about this, I was like, wow, why am I not letting myself try? Why am I not giving myself that same grace? Here I am just being so hard on myself because the result wasn't perfect the first time. But I haven't even let myself fall down once. How am I expected to run when I can barely crawl? And so the real first lesson in building your confidence, and that's what you guys have been practicing here this whole weekend, is just showing up and trying. And that's truly the one thing to actually increase your skills over time because we know the brain has neural pathways in it that we can rewire and refire. The one way to increase your confidence is just, am I putting in the effort? Am I showing up and trying? Now, how many of you want to go to college? And it's not, you don't have to. Great, amazing. When you apply to colleges, I think it's so ridiculous that we ask on the applications, and maybe some of you have done this already. It's like, what do you want your major to be? When I applied to college, you're never going to guess what I put my major as. Aeronautical engineering. I know. I don't look like an aeronautical engineer. Aeronautical engineering. I was like, yeah, great, that sounds amazing. I want to be an astronaut. And then I got in there and was like, whoa, no, I don't like physics at all. I don't want to do this. I think it's utterly ridiculous that we expect ourselves as young women to, and even at any point in our lives, to actually know what we want to do. It's only through trying, it's only through showing up that we uncover what we love, that we uncover what's important to us. There's a really great quote that goes, the purpose of a goal is not to achieve it. The purpose of a goal is uncovering who you are along the way. The goal is just an icing on the cake. And I really love that because it's like, yeah, it's really true. And so the first step to building your confidence, the first skill in how to increase my confidence is, can I just make showing up and trying the marker of success? Don't let the results define you. Make effort the reward. Did I show up and did I fail at something today? Self high five. All right, great, we're killing it. And actually, my ask of you, my homework to make this a really tangible tool, because that's what I love, is at the end of every single day moving forward, write down, what did I fail at today? Can I reward myself just for that? Yes? Yes. Portland Metro? Yes! Okay, great. So that's number one. Don't let the results define you. Number two is claim where you're going. Claim where you're going. And I love this, I love all the tips, but claim where you're going, I think is really important and really empowering to other people, not just ourselves, in this road to learning our confidence. So claiming where you're going is kind of putting the stake in the ground, or I think actually it's a flag, putting your flag in the ground, standing in your power, saying, this is what I want to do. This is where I'm going next. So as I said, I was 23 when I started my bikini line, and I doubted myself a ton. I really didn't believe in myself. I had a huge lack of confidence. And this manifested in a lot of different ways. And one of the ways in which it manifested was in how I introduced myself. So as you'll get older, you'll notice this starts to happen. People are like, what do you do? And you're like, So when people would ask me that, they'd be like, what did you do? I'd be like, well, and I would honestly do this. Like my whole body posture would change. I kiteboard, and I make bikinis, yeah. Contrast that to how I introduced myself at the beginning, right? Which was, I'm a professional kiteboarder and I run a sustainable swimwear brand. Woo! I love her. Which one is more inspiring, number one? Which one makes you be like, oh wow, look at that. I could go do that too. Which one makes you want to get behind me? When I contrast the two, it's kind of obvious, right? Like, number one, we're never going to get where we want to go until we have clarity where it is that we want to go. Until we have clarity on that end result. So number one is just being like, okay, where actually am I heading? And it can change all the time. Life is just an experiment. We don't know. The result, we know, doesn't matter. It's just putting in the effort. So if we can say, all right, I think I'm going to like it here. Let me aim and get there. When we stand and we can say with conviction what it is that we're doing and really claim and own who we are, our confidence naturally rises. And so when I introduced myself that way, that was like really closed off and like, people would be like, oh, so you like make bikinis? And I was like, you sew bikinis? No, I have a swimwear line. And then they'd be like, okay. At this time, I want to remind you, I was traveling around as a professional I'm getting paid to kiteboard around the world. Like, that is cool. And how I would introduce myself would be like, I'm like kiteboard kind of. No, what? Come on. And, it took me a while to figure out, like, I was holding myself back just in how I introduced myself. Just in not claiming where it was I was going. And so when we stand in our power and say, this is what I'm doing, and it's not lying, right? I'm not standing up here saying, I'm an astronaut, right? We're saying, oh, maybe I want to be a firefighter, so I'm going to try that. I'm going to go to an awesome college, and I'm applying right now. I'm working towards this thing. It's not lying, but it's claiming, and it's saying confidently, yep, I'm going to do that. I can say I'm a speaker, right? It doesn't matter if I've spoken for 10 years or 10 months. It's just my intention and my practice that I want to put out there. And so when we actually claim where we're going and we stand in that, it does a couple things. Number one, it inspires those around us. Because when I say I'm a professional kiteboarder, everyone's like, wow, cool. Like, it expands the idea of what's possible for the other people that are in the room. This is why it's really important to show diversity in media, because we can't actually imagine doing something until usually we see other people doing it, right? And so if you see someone that looks like you doing something, you're like, oh, she can do it, I can do it. Oh, that's a career? Okay. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, you do what? That's a career? Okay. And it expands this idea of what's possible. So when I introduce myself and I stand proudly and this is what I'm doing, automatically it expands and elevates what's possible for those people around me. So that's number one with it. Number two is that it gets people on your bus. Just claiming where you're going and saying, this is what I'm doing, gets people to support you because it's putting it out there. So when I say I have a swimwear line, and next time you guys want to go buy a swimsuit, you might look at my line because I've stood proudly in that. Or if I say I'm a speaker and you guys are thinking, oh, who do I know? I have an event coming up that I need a speaker at. When you guys create events, hopefully I'll still be around doing this. You might think, oh, let me get Sensi because she's a speaker. But if I just don't introduce myself and don't claim that, no one is ever going to think of me to book them for speaking, right? So it's doing other people a disservice by not claiming where I'm going, and it's doing me a huge disservice. And then number three is when I claim where I'm going, I am actually reverse engineering the confidence piece. Because when I stand with my shoulders back and my spine straight, and I project, and I say this is what I'm doing, I'm exuding confidence. When I'm here, and my voice is small, and I'm whispering, and I'm demurring, that body language is not creating confidence. And so I can actually reverse engineer what I want to do with the confidence by practicing. I legitimately practiced this, you guys. I said, my name is Sensi, this is what I'm doing. So that is the second key to boost your confidence. So homework, again, visualize. Visualize where it is that you want to go. I hate to use the phrase dream big because I think it just feels a little bit too gushy and not super solid. But seriously, dream about where you want to take your life in 2, 3, 5 years. And then plant a flag and say, okay, I want to try this thing. Tell people, practice standing in the mirror, introducing yourself, and guarantee your confidence is going to be boosted. Great. Portland Metro! Thank you, they're still with me, great. Okay, number three. What was number three? Does anyone remember? No? Okay, that's okay. Celebrate the wins. Number three, celebrate the wins. Now, this might be my favorite tool. And this might be, if there's one thing that I say, take away from this whole talk, this might be it. And it's that you are never going to feel like the confident badass that you truly are until you feel like the confident badass that you truly are today. You're never going to feel like a badass until you feel like a badass today. What do I mean? I mean that a lot of times in life, we are constantly comparing ourselves to other people, right? Social media is a huge detriment to that. Social media can be expansive, and we can be like, oh, look at all this possibility. But I think overall, it's a huge detriment. And when we see other people doing things, we often say, I'm not good enough because they're doing something amazing and cool and makes us feel less than. But here's the secret. There's always going to be people that are better looking than you, that make more money than you, that are more successful than you, and that's totally okay. Because we're all on this ladder of life. I like to teach like that we're on climbing this ladder, climbing. There's always going to be people above us, and there's always going to be people below us. And our job on this ladder is to take the hand of those above us and be like, great, thank you for your inspiration, thank you for your support, thank you for helping me climb, and it's to help those below us. And that's by accepting where we're at, accepting that we're impactful just as we are. This hit home for me a couple years ago when I was at a business conference, and I was speaking with another woman that owned a fashion brand. And we were chatting numbers, and she was telling me all about her business, and she was saying how many employees she had, and she was saying how much they did in sales, and it was like way beyond what we were doing. And so, you know, I was just like, whoa, you're amazing, you're doing so much. And I actually told her that. I said, Christy, you're incredible. Like, your business is killing it. I'm super impressed. And she looked at me, and you know what she said? She said, yeah, but we're no Everlane. And Everlane is this other fashion brand. So she was comparing herself to this next level. And I went home, you know, I didn't even know what to say to that really. My jaw kind of hit the floor. And I remember I went home, and I was at my hotel room, and I remember thinking, geez, like here I was being like, wow, if I was at that level, if I was at the level of Christy's company, I would be so stoked because it was so far beyond what my level was. And here she was at that level, already looking to the next and saying, I'm not good enough because I'm not there. And that was when I was like, oh, okay. It really doesn't matter what level you get to, because we're always going to be climbing the ladder. The balance of life is this balance of contentment and stretching. Stretching is great, right? We need goals. Humans actually require goals. It's not on like the hierarchy of needs, but it's on another kind of growth needed thing where, you know, we need joy, we need community, we need to keep growing. But we also need contentment. So I really think it's this balance of stretching, growing, and contentment, being stoked with where we're at. Because if we're not stoked with where we're at and what we're doing, we're never going to feel fulfilled, and we're never going to feel truly confident. And the more that we can feel this, Brene Brown calls it wholehearted living, when we are living embodied and connected and stoked with what we're doing, we actually create more connection in our communities. We have more impact. We can inspire those around us more, and we live more joyful lives. And so if we're trying to build and grow our confidence, because confidence is a skill, one of the best things that we can do is be like, okay, I'm doing enough right now. Because we're human beings, not human doings. Okay, so what's the tool? I have a tool to help work on this, and that is to celebrate your wins. And so my practice for you, the take home, the homework, is at the end of every single day, write down, what is it that you're proud of? What's something awesome that happened? What's your win for the day? So win is anything that you're like, yes, I accomplished that. Yes, I'm going to acknowledge and claim that. Yes, I did this thing and I'm proud of myself. And then sit in that and be like, okay, I'm doing enough. I'm doing a great job. Because I'll tell you, being a human is freaking hard. Being a human is really hard. And there's a lot of downs and there's a lot of ups. That's why it's joyful and amazing. But there's a lot of struggle as well. And that's okay. But legitimately, when I look at my wins folder, it does a couple things. Number one, it allows me to relive and acknowledge myself and saying, self high five, you're doing enough, you're doing a great job, keep going, keep trying, keep making bikinis, even though you've fallen down a few times, you're gonna run eventually. And then when things get hard and I don't wanna try anymore, I can look back to that reference and say, ah, okay, look at all this cool stuff I've done. I'm doing enough. Life is that balance of contentment and stretching. Okay, we ready for an activity? I actually want to do this now. Yes? Portland Metro? Fire camp! Yes, okay. So I want you to think for a moment about something that you're proud of, a win from the last couple of days at fire camp. Think about it for a moment. We're going to get into partners, and we're just going to take 1 minute, and we're going to share with our partner. So something that you're proud of, something that you want to celebrate, something awesome that happened. Are we on board? Yes? Yes. Confidence is a skill, you guys. We actually have to practice this. If you want to increase your confidence, we need to be able to learn new things, change how our brains are wired. Okay? Yes? Okay. If we're ready, I want you to turn to a partner. We're going to just take 1 minute to do this. Turn to a partner and say what you're proud of, what your win is, what you're celebrating. Great job. I so appreciate you. Okay, 30 more seconds. If you haven't switched, switch. Okay, shall we start wrapping it up? Wrap it up, bring it back just a few more minutes, you guys. Wrap it up, wrap it up. Thank you for your participation. What? I need a whistle. Portland Metro! Yes, gosh, that's the best. Okay, great, thank you for your participation in that. Truly, 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 these are the tools that I have used to increase my confidence over time. Because as I said, confidence is not an outside job, it's an inside job. Confidence is a skill, confidence is something that can be learned over time. And I really believe that when we act with full embodied confidence, we make the world a better place. We create more connection, we create more impact, we create more joy, we create more inspiration. When we feel wholehearted, when we feel that we're doing enough, that we're worthy humans, that's when we can actually change the world. And so in reviewing, we talked about don't let the results define you and to fail at something every day. We talked about claim where you're going and actually visualize and think about it and then just show up and try. And then we talked about celebrating your wins and keeping track of that so you have a reference to go back to over time. And what I want to leave you with is that it's very important, in my opinion, to remember how worthy every single one of you are. How whole and enough every single one of you are, just as you are today, right now. Because each of you comes from a totally different, unique background. Each of you in this room could teach me something. Right? You may not believe it. You may not think that you have the knowledge or the skill or that you're too young or that you're too old or that who knows what excuse. But you are so worthy right now just as you are today. Your stories, your individual background, your upbringing, your gifts are so needed on this planet. And so I really want to share with you these tools to boost your confidence because that's how you're going to change and impact the world. And we really need you. Thank you so much, everyone. Appreciate it.